Most of us who played the original Doom are aware of the cheat codes: IDKFA for a full arsenal, IDDT for a full map, IDDQD for invulnerability, and of course IDSPISPOPD to clip through walls. In later iterations of the Doom engine this would change to ID clip, but this video isn't about these cheat codes specifically, it's about the origin of SPISPOPD. Yes, that's right, that seemingly random bunch of characters has an origin, and it wasn't from inside the walls of id Software. To trace its place of birth, we have to go back to the warmth and comfort of the 1993 Usenet Newsgroups. The early internet, so comforting and so warming. September 1993 is a period known as Eternal September, and marks the point where America Online began offering Usenet access to many of its customers, increasing the user base of these groups significantly. As 1993 rolled on, anticipation was high for id's latest game, Doom. Beta copies were being shared about, and conversations were popping up in various news groups on Usenet. From one side there was excitement about in-game elements, such as talk of potential rocket launches in the final game. From another side, people were discussing hardware and whether Doom will have 8 or 16-bit sound samples, keen to push their 16-bit ISA sound blasters to their limits. There was even discussion about how evil the game was, with its satanic imagery and inappropriate scenes for children, whatever that means. But then, on the 30th of November 1993, just 10 days before Doom would be officially released, a 15-year-old lad by the name of Elias Bingham posted a message which said,
"Listen up, id Software. Next time you have an impending release of a much anticipated game, make sure its name is not so cool sounding as Doom, and much longer to eliminate all of the casual 'where can I get XXX' posts. How about smashing pumpkins into small piles of putrid debris for the next game?"
Smashing pumpkins into small piles of putrid debris itself forming the initialism SPISPOPD. There we go. Now this was a reference to Usenet literally filling up with Doom posts. Anticipation was high, and this is why the early internet was just so damn cool, almost as cool as the Doom name itself. Further posters, such as John W. Cummings, would point out that this abbreviation was still too short, and suggested using the first 128 ASCII characters, like Prince's new name. But really, any attempt to cull the influx of Doom-related material was ultimately doomed. In fact, Usenet then started filling up with posts saying, "When is SPISPOPD coming out?" as well as "When is Doom coming out?" The problem was doubled. This of course didn't appease the people who had put Doom into their kill file to automatically delete any of these posts from downloading. The fact there was so many often caused Usenet reading programs to crash themselves, offsetting any gain by removing them from the reader. Jokes then circulated about a release of the game known as SPISPOPD, with February the 29th, 1994 and March the 35th noted as official release dates. By the way, they're not real dates, you can get the joke, right? People began using this alternative moniker to describe the game they hoped Doom would be, including incredible AI, rocket launches, several hundred levels, and boss monsters like Linus Van Pelt and the Great Pumpkin. So not that far off reality, really. This led to the official SPISPOPD FAQ, posted by Seth Cohn on the 4th of December 1993. A tongue-in-cheek play on the Doom facts which were being circulated around the comp.sys.ibm.pc.games.action newsgroup. The FAQ relates to the fictitious SPISPOPD game by Ego Software, which in no way should promote killing yourself, eating pumpkin pie, or squashing squash in any other fashion. The game itself sounded very promising, with 16.7 million colours on a 256k VGA card, full Turing AI logic and God mode, including a digitised Jean-Claude Van Damme who suffered a pumpkin incident, blinding his right eye, therefore delaying the game release. Some actually bought into this as a real game, whilst others clearly got the joke. It's worth reading the FAQ if you haven't, a link to which I've included in the description. So here's the twist. A day before Doom was actually released, a few guys at California Polytechnic State University who went under the banner of Jumble software managed to write and release a beta game actually called SPISPOPD, where your objective was to navigate levels and indeed smash the crap out of pumpkins. And here it is. Now this is actually a slightly later version after the guys decided to make it a real shareware release. You can see from this load up screen alone, it's got Doom roots. Once you get into the game, however, it's very non-Doom. I mean, come on, this was made in a couple of days, and given that, it's actually rather playable. It's even got music and sound effects, for crying out pumpkins. Your task is simply to go from level to level, collecting candles and smashing pumpkins along the way. The dateline in the associated README file prepares you.
30th of October 1993. All the pumpkins of the world cower in fear again as another Halloween approaches. As always, they are destined to be culinarily transformed into grotesque icons of a pagan tradition. Their only hope was to steal all of Earth's candles and take them away to the distant pumpkin planet, Pumpkinia. The 4th of November 1993. Despite tremendous security measures, the pumpkins succeeded and now Earth has no candles. If the power goes out, everybody is screwed. The only hope is Boopaha the Gourd Slayer. He hops in the specially designed TX-34Z rocket ship and blasts off to the Zeta Toe Jam star system.
And that's where we find ourselves. The first version only had Intro Land, whilst later versions have additional levels, such as Spacey Techno World. And although Jumble software may have started out with only a few people, various others were involved by the time the official SPIS FAQ came out in 1994. Mike was kind enough to unearth a copy from his hard drive, which I've linked in the description below. Anyway, back to the newsgroups. Doom would be released the next day, causing all kinds of excitement. People were worried about not being able to download, and they were right to be worried because shortly after its upload at 11:53 on the 10th of December 1993, the University of Wisconsin's server was so overloaded with requests that many people just couldn't log on to it. In fact, it was so busy John Carmack couldn't even upload Doom to it in the first place. However, once it finally got there, for the people who did get a copy, their excitement was truly justified. And to acknowledge the newsgroup banter, IDSPISPOPD had been snuck in by id at the last minute as a cheat to turn on no clipping mode. Back in the newsgroup, some people still seem to be confused about SPISPOPD, with one chap actually thinking it was supposed to be a fantastic 3D game, but on downloading the actual top-down release, was a little disappointed to not find the rocket launchers and everything that had been described. Clearly he either didn't get the joke or had never heard of Doom. Maybe he was just trolling himself, who can honestly tell, or really care. By April 1994, Jumble software would release a level editor for SPISPOPD, whilst at the same time sparking outrage from members who didn't realise the connection between SPISPOPD and Doom. Clearly he thought this was some guy spamming his latest PD release in a Doom forum. Various updates followed, culminating in version 3 released in 1994, but that's not the end of our pumpkin tale. Jumble software would go on to be called Hamumu software, run by the main programmer of SPISPOPD, Mike Hommel, and 2 follow-ups would be made. The first was Amazing SPISPOPD, which shared the same gameplay as the first release, just in a nicer fashion. This was followed by I'm just going to call it SPISPOPD from now on. SPISPOPD 2, Dr. Lunatic, in May 2000. Both of these are still available for purchase on the Hamumu Games Inc. website for just $2.95 and $4.95 respectively. Other references to this tale include the 1995 Doom novel, where a character mentions smashing pumpkins into small pieces of putrid debris in response to killing a cacodemon, which they dubbed Pumpkin. Simtex's 1994 game Master of Magic included a magical item called IDSPISPOPD. An early Quake mod allowed you to tend a pumpkin patch.
Oh! What the hell are you doing?
And of course there were Doom mods such as this WOD by Richard Ward, featuring SPISPOPD arcade machines. Wonderful stuff. Of course, let us also not forget that the song Where Boys Fear to Tread by the Smashing Pumpkins included Doom samples and specifically credited id Software in the inner notes to their album Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. In the run-up to Doom 3, there was even a campaign to try and bring back IDSPISPOPD in the next game iteration, with people enraged by its removal in Doom 2. I don't blame them. I mean, ID clip, what were they thinking? My first encounter with the term was the no-clipping cheat in the shareware release of Doom. But you can't beat little stories like this, where an excited fanbase was able to influence changes in a game essentially just through joking about in what we'd refer to today as a forum. Man, I love the early internet. I also love Doom. And I love pumpkins. Well, pumpkin pie, at least. What a day this has been.